guess I should start by sparking it up, huh?
It's only right.
Go hit him with a hey y'all. Every time I start talking on Instagram, it's hey, what's up guys, or hey y'all. And in my head, I hear you do that.
Name is Aaron Skoggsberg. Everybody calls me Skogs. I'm the owner of The Office Gym. We're focused heavily on health and fitness, whether it's here at the office or whether it's at the office. We want you here, focusing on you. So I've known Garrett for a little while. He was at another fitness club. One of these guys that when they come in, you get to know them, you kind of see how they work out. Very motivational guy, intense for sure. But it's one of these guys that you want to have a part of your club, especially when you tailor yourself to athletes, to those that are really, really trying to transform themselves and go well beyond what I think most would consider limits of their body. So he's one of these guys. He's a freak of nature. I call him a little bit of a beast. But that's what drew me to him. So finally I got him here, and now he's inside this big old cage. And he definitely rattles the cage quite a bit while he's here. So,
my name is Rob Zito. I manage The Office Gym. I'm the general manager here. I know him as a member. I mean, I guess we know a lot of the same people. One thing I can tell him, he's a super nice guy, but when he's on the floor training, he's on a different level. Very, very intense guy. Old school intensity.
It's interesting because I always watch him as he kind of comes in and transitions. So he's kind of this real nice guy as he walks in, but you can kind of see it in his eyes. Sometimes he's got the pre-workout that's kicking in, but he always comes in. He'll do a little bit of a meet and greet, but it's brief. He doesn't want to talk, and then he'll usually go into the locker room. And so the beginning is kind of the nice Garrett. Then it moves into this kind of sort of intense or pre-intense, where he's here at the punching bag. He's just getting in his zone. And then this is what I call rage in the cage. And then it's like a whole different level. It's kind of like, we've got a couple guys from WWE that come here. So they kind of have characters, they play characters. And so you can definitely see a different character of Garrett from when he comes in to when he's mid-workout. And it's intense. So you kind of, just like any caged animal, you kind of don't put your hands in there. So you just kind of stand back, but you sit in awe at just how focused this guy is. And don't interrupt his workout, right? He's a nice guy, but he can definitely bite at sometimes. So.
I think a lot of people know not to get in his way when he's training, just back off. He's not in here to bullshit. He just trains and trains. He doesn't give a shit what other people are thinking. He's not in here to make it a social club. He's in here and he's got one thing on his mind, to train. He reminds me a lot more of like old school, respectful as hell. The first thing I think about, like if you mention his name, intensity. That's it. You know, being my age or whatever, I've always like remember as like a child like watching Tyson and his intensity, Mike Tyson, and like that kind of focus that he had. And I guess that's like the best way to compare it. Anyone who's ever seen him fight back in the day or whatever, when he's training, it just becomes a different person.
So I find it motivational. There's a lot of other folks that will find it motivational, but you know, some that are just those that are here to maintain. You know, they might say that's a whole different level of normal, and so they would consider that intimidating.
You know, but he's got that intensity, that Tyson-like focus and intensity about him or whatnot, and stay out of his way, let him do his thing, and you'll be all right.
Look, you go ahead and show them this right here, from top to bottom.
What do you mean?
From top to bottom, you got the swoosh, got the hat, got the tank, shorts, compression. What kind of socks you got on, G? Oh, hashtag sponsor me. Always been that way. There's a headphone. All the other Gymshark, Dark Sports, all that shit got popular. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay with the swoosh. Never made it to be an athlete, I just look like one.
What's your name, bro? Hank. Hey, I'm Garrett. Nice to meet you, Garrett. I see this, and this is how we're of the same tribe. Right. He's been on the long time too. Guys have Mexicans in the gym. Fact. Yeah, my man is a pro. Right. Yeah, for real, you got a couple? Clutch. Look, give it about 3 minutes. One more set.
What's up, guys? Or what's up, my friends? Hey, y'all.
What's up, guys?
Yo, yo. That one doesn't work as well.
Yo, yo!
What's goody? So,
No.
we're gonna talk about who do you listen to today. Last couple episodes, you guys got to get to know us, and you got to decide, I would imagine, how you feel about the balance between her and my loudmouth ass. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to listen to me. So that's gonna be the first point that I make. Who do you listen to doesn't necessarily mean listen to me. It means decide for yourself. One issue that a lot of people face in early stages of entrepreneurship and in life as a whole, I think you can attest to this too,
Absolutely.
is by listening to the wrong voices. From my own perspective, early on when I left, or when I was debating on leaving the gym space, like I talked about a couple weeks ago, there's lots of different voices, my parents included, of telling me their opinion on what I should do. The issue with that is my parents don't necessarily have what I want from life. You know, not to downplay what they've accomplished or what they've done on their own, but I want to make $1 billion. You know, like I want to go next level as far as entrepreneurship and as far as influence. And at that time in my life, at 23, my parents couldn't see that vision, and so I struggled a lot with the back and forth of listening to them, listening to the, toxic relationships I had, the then girlfriend I had that was terrible, the friends that were small-minded, and I think that that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, and that's why we wanted to make it kind of our first topic that we touch on, is because if you're listening to the wrong voices, it's going to set you off in the wrong direction. Like, for example, that's something that you struggled with your family a little bit, kind of breaking out of your shell and being able to embrace who you are by who you listen to.
It's not even necessarily like what they were telling me to do. They've always wanted me to do whatever I wanted to do. My family has. But I'm such a people pleaser that I wanted to do what I thought they wanted me to do. So I just got stuck in a battle of doing things that I didn't want to do just because I wanted to please my parents and be what I thought that they wanted me to be. When it really wasn't even the case. They wanted me to do what I wanted to do regardless.
Right.
But I'm concerned about pleasing everybody.
Yeah. That is not exactly a concern of Garrett's. I'm sure most of you guys can tell. My concern isn't necessarily to please everybody, but to relate to a story in my life on a personal level outside of entrepreneurship. As a young teenager, really, as a young man, I faced some struggles. I didn't really touch on in the initial video. My first serious girlfriend was the preacher's daughter at our local church.
This is a great story.
It's a wild story, and I didn't necessarily realize how wild it was because I was young and I was blinded by puppy love and stuff like that. But so I was a troubled kid, as you guys got my background, and I got in trouble with the law and in school and things like that. And let's just say that the preacher wasn't really a fan of me, but you know how a preacher's daughter would. She found a way to have a crush on a bad boy, and he kind of made it worse by making it like starstruck lovers kind of thing, like similar to what your first relationship was. Like when you're told you can't have something or be with someone, you're like, oh, I'll show you, especially when you feel like you're these star-crossed lovers that are being held apart from each other.
I don't know how parents don't realize that now too. It's such a common
My
thing.
mom literally is like, if he would just shut up and let you guys be teenagers, then she would hate you in no time.
Right.
Because I was an asshole anyway.
Right.
So he didn't necessarily see that, so he tried very hard to separate us. It didn't work. Much to his dismay, we lost our virginity to each other, and this is the level of control he had, not only in her life, but in the whole church. So he found out about that situation through her mentor, her confidant, her small group leader that she told these things to. Turned around and told her father, who's the preacher of the church, who already doesn't like me. So then he loses his mind. And I'm talking about loses his mind. You can attest to that. He's a crazy guy. Got a restraining order against me. I was 18, she's 16. Got a restraining order so that she couldn't see me. We couldn't talk, we couldn't communicate. He prevented me from coming to the church. He got that restraining order put in place so that I also was not allowed to step foot on the church property or be arrested for trespassing. This is the preacher of the Summit Church.
The person that you're supposed to be looking up to as a leader, guidance.
Yeah, I'm 17 when it started, 18, 19 years old going through this process, and I'm battling this dude, and he's got control over everybody. Hey, Dora. He's got control over everybody in the setting, and I'm just the outcast teenager that to everybody looks like the bad guy because they were believing everything he said because he's the leader. So who do you listen to, right? Who do you listen to? And it was really a terrible situation. He separated us. We ended up, the irony is, she ended up at my house. She ran away from home for a little while, stayed with my brother's girlfriend, ended up at my house. I was arrested in my driveway for violation of a restraining order while she was at my house, my parents' house. he came there with the police. He would I'm talking about, he would park down the street where you could see my house with binoculars and look at my house.
Dude, it's crazy.
My mom can attest to these things. This is not a lie.
The
GPS
preacher.
tracker phone.
Crazy.
GPS tracker phone, like go through all, like, there's a difference between being a protective parent, who you have protective parents, and like having a like ridiculously controlling parent. And because of that, she struggled a lot emotionally. She was a young girl, you know, and trying to please somebody like that was hard enough as it is. So that created much of a rift and really pushed me out of the whole idea of church and religion, because I'm like, you know,
Of course it would. Like,
you know,
naturally.
You're right. Who would still want to go back to this space when it's all about love and acceptance? Their church motto is literally love God, love people, serve the world. And like, then they're outcasting me, the lowest of them, right? And so, you know, that taught me at an early age, like, who you listen to can define what you become, you know? He would get up on stage and talk about me. On a stage, he had thousands of members at multiple campuses. And he would say things like, oh, young girls, you need to be careful. You need to stay away from those boys who post all those shirtless selfies online.
Everybody knows that this is Garrett.
All my friends are
Everybody in the audience knows this.
my small group leaders.
And like, thank
everybody
God
around.
that it was you, someone that's obviously confident and like very secure in himself. Picture that being a boy that's not, though. Like,
Yeah.
that's how people
Yeah.
kill themselves,
Yeah,
really.
give
Like,
themselves-
you have
exactly.
an entire team of people that you're supposed to be looking up to, bullying you, everybody. It's fucked up.
It is really fucked up. I didn't realize how fucked up it was when I was younger, because again, I was blinded by love. But one thing to tie that story up that I learned is, you know, I was trying so hard to please this man, so I completely changed a lot of things about my character. And he still was never satisfied, and I'll never forget a conversation he had, and this built a lot of things in me afterwards. But he said, Garrett, you can't talk your way out of things you acted your way into, period. Like, it doesn't matter how much you talk or how good you can talk or how much you can sell it. You can't talk your way out of things you acted your way into. And that defined who I became. So just like, you know, when you checked me, you know, when our relationship ended and you kind of told me the things that I needed to work on, I can take some criticism, right? When it's right and it hits me, I'm like, you got me, but not for long, right? And so I decided I was going to be somebody worth listening to. If nothing else, just to prove the point that I wasn't the fucked up kid that they tried to make me out to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I got in all the trouble that they said I was going to, and I'm still a loudmouth asshole like they said I was. But I never said that I wasn't that. That was never claimed to be. But, you know, I think that I got to define who I wanted to listen to. That situation, those scenarios kind of made it so that I only listened to myself. What other authority figure did I need to listen to when, after going through everything like you just talked about, like, and I had trouble with the police before that, I'm like, you know what, it doesn't matter what anybody else tells me, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm focused on my goals, and that's what we're gonna get done. And so that's when I started to focus more on the law of attraction, some manifestation training and bringing our dreams into reality and things like that. That's when I started the manifestation training a lot more, and I was quickly connected with a speaker named Kevin Trudeau, who, much like myself, has also been connected with some trouble. That's what happens when you're a high energy guy. Sometimes you burn people. Anyway, one of his topics is, who do you listen to? And he talks about the people that you're listening to. Do they have what you want? Have they done what you're trying to do? Have they been where you are right now or where you're trying to go? And if the answer to any of those questions is no, then why are you listening to them? It's something that Gary Vee talks about a little bit too. Quit listening to your parents. They might have your best interest in mind in their heart, but that doesn't mean that they understand things the way that you do.
It doesn't mean that that's what's right for you either.
Right, and I think that that's where a lot of people fall short, is they think that, well, my parents are telling me this, so it's gotta be right.
So many people, myself included.
And my parents will tell you that I didn't buy into that spiel. I learned every hard lesson my own way, right? And so nowadays in entrepreneurship, when I step into a new space like I'm in with digital marketing, I go to learn from the best, people like Cody Kearns. You know, we're going to spend time with Cody next week in our next episode. You guys will see Cody and Brandon, the I Come Up boys down in Boca Raton. You know, they're some of the best in the space. Their mentors are the best in the space. You know, so I want to be connected with the people that have done what I want to do and have what I have. Cody's going to clear $5 million this year. You know, the Wi-Fi team, they do a couple $1 million a month. You know, so like, these are people we want to be connected with. So should I listen to what they're telling me, or should I listen to the kids from Kernersville that talk shit about me buying followers on Instagram? If I've made decisions for my current followers, for my high school friends, for my people from my hometown who judge and hate on literally anything that you do because it makes them feel insecure, where would I get in life? Would I be here making these things with my beautiful girlfriend? Would I travel the world and do these things that we get to do? No. Would I get out and smoke weed on Instagram every single day? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how many people, her included, it took breaking out of the box to say, hey, I'm gonna be Mr. Smokes Weed a lot on Instagram? My poor mama. She'll support anything I do, but like, that was the hardest thing for her to accept. Yeah. Because like, all of her friends are conservative, Christian, Southern, white folks, right? And I'm not that, right? And hardly conservative. So that will, you know, push some buttons, but I had to choose, am I going to choose to make my mom and her friends happy, or am I going to choose to follow my brand through to be authentic and true to myself? And so I'll tell you, as long as I've been consistent and true to myself, and I choose to listen to those that have done what I want to do and have obtained what I want to obtain, then I consistently get closer to the goal. Period. So I would challenge you guys, after you listen to this, to think about areas in your life where you're holding yourself back because you're listening to other people's negative perspectives. Or here's a little asterisk to kind of give you a different perspective. Maybe the voice that holds you back, and this is something that you do too, is your own voice.
That's true.
How many times do I have to tell you not to say bad things to yourself, not to say mean things to yourself?
Literally every day.
Every single day. Every single day. I'm like, why would you even say it? Like, there's nothing good can come from putting negative energy out there about yourself. So when you look in the mirror and you say, I'm fat, we all know she's not fat. We all know she's not fluffy. There's nothing about her, right? But when she looks at herself and she says something negative, now her mind has a negative momentum cycle and it carries that direction. So don't even listen to yourself sometimes. Sometimes you have to go, nope, that's not true. You know what I do? I look at all my selfies. People make fun of all the pictures that I take and all the stuff that we document. But you know what? When I question myself, I can pull up my iPhone in less than 8 seconds, have a picture of a reminder of what, hey, maybe I'm not that bad, right?
It took me a long time for me to understand Garrett in that way too, because like, why are you taking a selfie every single day in the gym? Are you that like egotistical? But it's not even that. It's like to have a reference of
what's real.
Yeah, what's real.
Because your mind is not you. Your mind is not real sometimes. Your mind is an operating system to your brain that is a computer, right? So sometimes your mind will tell you something that's not real. It's not real in fact. It's not black and white, but your mind will filter it in a way that makes it feel real.
Yeah.
You have to be able to discern that. Discernment means being able to decide what is real and what is not, whether it's your voice, whether it's your parents' voice, your boss, your friends, your brother, your sister, doesn't matter. You have to be able to discern what is real, what matters to me, and what attributes to the goal that we're chasing. Some things are gonna be real and gonna be right, but it doesn't mean that it attributes to what you're saying. My parents, you don't want, things that they would say are right. You don't want to give up a job with benefits. You don't want to give up a career path. Those things are right, but does it attribute to my goal? No. Then I make a decision that does. So that's what I challenge you guys to do. Find those areas in your life where you're listening to someone else, you're listening to yourself, these negative voices that are allowing you to fall in a trap of never moving forward. Step outside of those, say no to the negativity, and take the first step in the right direction. Anything you want to add?
Nope.
That's it. See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.